Hey guys, Joshua Laycock here, Lifestyle Evolution. It's been an interesting week so far. It's only Wednesday. I had a much better day today than I did yesterday. And I've been sort of reflecting on why my reaction to everything seems to be kind of all over the map lately. Which is, volatility is not always good, especially when you're trying to map out a course forward in life. And there's a few things that I've thought about over the past few days that I'm trying to be more aware of. And hey, you know what? A few things that I actually got right, which is nice. The first thing that I'm identifying with myself is don't react or don't make decisions when you're in pain. I really buggered my wrist up at Jits over the weekend, and then a few days of shoveling have really done some good damage to my wrist. I don't know what's going on. I don't think it's broken. I think it's just sprained and it's just throbbing, and I'm learning how quickly things like talking on the phone all day and typing on your computer all day can impact that, and then go home and drag kids around. So I think one of the major things why I've been in such a funk all week is that, quite frankly, I've been in like a lot of pain, and I've got a pretty high pain threshold or a pretty high pain tolerance, but this has been pretty frustrating. So, but like, it sounds like a throwaway comment, but it's true, right? It's like, take a step back. It doesn't have to just be pain. When you're dealing with a lot of crap, the other stuff in your life, it's going to make you more sensitive to those things. So like, if you're having a hard time at home, well, you're probably going to carry some of that to work, and vice versa. Or if you're tired or in pain or stressed out about something, it is going to make you more sensitive to other things. And I think the lesson is, to the extent you can, one, be aware of it is a good first step, but two, try to not take on too much. If you're tired, maybe you need to get some sleep. Look, life gets in the way. You can't sort of be like, well, I'm not going to work today because my wrist is sore, or I'm not going to talk to my family because I had a crappy day at work, or I'm not going to go to work because I had an argument with my wife. Like, that's not doable, obviously. But you can be aware of those things. And I think that's very, very important to make sure that, I think we can only handle so much. And as much as it would be nice to think that we can all handle an obscene amount of stuff, I think the truth is that we have a functional capacity of what we can handle. And when we get to that functional capacity, we need to be aware of that, because it can start to have some negative impacts on other aspects of our life. And also, there's always the risk that you do or say something that causes trouble or causes someone else some pain. And if you're not aware of the circumstances that are influencing your mood, then that can be pretty dangerous. So that's the first thing that I've kind of learned this week. I generally don't go anywhere near pain meds. I just try to. I'm between my knees and my wrists and my back and my whatever, I'm almost always in some version of pain. It's just something that I'm dealing with. So I don't usually take pain meds, but I've actually broken down and taken some stuff for my wrist because the throbbing was getting a little stupid. So hopefully that will put me in a bit of a better mood, because I think I've been a bit of a rage all week since it happened. The other thing that I'm thinking about as I'm navigating all of these challenges is life will not always appear to be going in the right direction. And I've always said perception is reality. And I don't know that we always do a very good job of really understanding what reality is and what life is really throwing at us. So instead, we should focus on our perception. And yeah, you know what? I fall victim to my own trap is when you perceive all of the things that aren't going as you had planned or as you would like, it is very easy for your perception of reality to become very muddied. And naturally, it becomes very difficult to see where you are supposed to go or where you need to go. And that is tricky. So make sure, especially during the tougher times, that I'm not obsessing over the things that are going wrong or that aren't going according to plan, because then, as I said, when you obsess over those things, you can no longer see the good. And that kind of bleeds into the next one, is sometimes you have to get creative with the way you're seeing things. You have to get, a little bit tactical, a little bit like a chess player, not in a manipulative kind of way, but you just have to start to look a few steps ahead and recognize that, you may have to endure a couple boring or unpleasant maneuvers to get yourself closer to where you want to go. It was interesting. I was having a chat with someone and I was expressing my frustration, and we were talking about, I'm frustrated because one of the things that I happen to be very good at more often than not is anticipating or predicting what is going to happen. Not trends and stuff, but I can read people pretty well, and I can read situations, and I can more often than not say, this will happen, then that'll happen, then this will happen, and then X will happen. So why don't we just cut through the shit and get to X? And sometimes when you can't cut through the shit, sometimes you got to go through the steps. But also, if you're anything like me, you come to rely on that ability to see what's likely to come next. And if you can't, it can be a little unnerving. And this person I was speaking with, she said to me, like, look, I get it, and that's what makes you, good at your job, but you're going to have to relinquish a little bit of that in some circumstances, because every now and then life is going to throw you a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn that you just didn't anticipate, and you can't see around corners. And, she's totally right. It's an uncomfortable place to be for me, but she's right. So I need to kind of make sure that I'm using my skills or my whatever powers for good, but not relying on them so heavily, because when you lose them, the other senses aren't used to responding. And so try to not like rely too heavily on anticipating or seeing what's next, especially if you're like a tactical thinker like I am, or someone who's sort of strategy focused. That can really ruin your day. And lastly, I don't know, breathe, relax. Goes back to some of the other points, is it's so easy to lose sight of our priorities, isn't it? There's always, my key priorities are always sort of there. They're always front of mind. I always remind myself of what they are. But even when you're in the thick of it, it is easy to lose sight of priorities. And we also can overestimate the impact that small changes and small things are going to have on our ability to continue to prioritize those things. We do a really, really good job of over anticipating bad things that are going to happen, and I definitely fall prey to that. So it's been an interesting few days, but taking a step back and thinking about it allows you to kind of do the decompression work that I've done, and what are the lessons that I can learn from this? Have you handled the stress of the past few days very well? No. Why? You were overwhelmed because of pain. You were anticipating things too much, and you were focusing on the negative. You were clouding your vision. You were relying on your ability to see 12 steps ahead. So when you can't, because things change, you panicked a little bit, and you made these little things into these big things that don't need to be, and it forced you to lose sight of your priorities. I often say to Kate, my wife, whenever something's going on, whether it's a career thing or a family thing, I'll say, and I'll ask ourselves, is this going to matter in a month? Is this going to matter in the end? Is this going to influence our ability to be good parents, good providers for our family, to grow old and be together forever? Probably not. So fuck them. Don't give other people or other situations that much control over your life. Take a step back and breathe. So I'm breathing. I've had a better day, trying to be aware of some of these things. And it's an important, sobering reminder sometimes that we don't have everything sorted out, and we're not supposed to. And as a little kind of bonus, it's interesting. I did a post on Instagram a while ago about I keep a white belt with no stripes hanging in my office as a reminder to approach life with a beginner's mind and to really make sure that I'm approaching situations with eyes wide open. And I was dealing with a project today. I was checking someone's work. They'd asked me to. And it was a complete and utter dumpster fire, a complete and utter disaster. And this was first thing in the morning, and I was kind of freaking out, being like, are you kidding me? We're gonna have another day of this. I can't operate in an environment where people are doing their work so poorly. And I do what I do. I kind of swung my chair to the left and looked out my window in my office, and I just sort of took a breath, and I saw the white belt, and I said, what am I missing here? What have I missed? Because let's be real, this person who is a competent person couldn't have done such a poor job. What am I missing here? And a little bit again of breathing and taking a step back and looking at, assume you're wrong, assume you're missing something. And I was able to figure it out, and we were able to kind of unscramble the Rubik's Cube and get to a point where we can do the work pretty effectively. And in fact, this person hadn't made a mistake. It was just the way that the data was being presented was whatever. It doesn't matter. The point being, these tools that I talk about and these little reminders and the reminders to stop and breathe or to look at a cue that's going to remind you to think a certain way, they can really help you if you let them. And even I lose sight of them sometimes, and I need to make sure that these things aren't just clever Instagram posts or clever content in a YouTube video or an Instagram video, and that we actually have to integrate these things into our life. And that was a good example today, that the day could have gone really badly if I hadn't used that reminder to think and assume, okay, this person's not that dumb. This person's not dumb. This person is not the kind of person that you think they are in your brain at this exact moment. So you must be missing something. Take a step back, approach it with a beginner's mind, and figure this thing out. Don't make assumptions. And that set the day for a much better day, which then allowed me kind of over the lunch hour to reflect a little bit and come up with all the stuff that I've been talking to you about today. So it helps. It works. You know, if you haven't, I try to add value in as many places as I can. Go back if you're new, catch up on some of the old videos. I think they're quality. Look on some of the posts on Instagram that I've been making. I hope that they add value to you. So anyway, that's it. We're off to jiu-jitsu. I'm going to go pick my son up, and we're going to go have some fun and just unplug. And I hope that you have a fantastic day. I hope that you are not in pain, but I hope that you can take a breath and make sure that you're enjoying your day. And if you do find yourself starting to unravel, take a breath and do an inventory and go, what am I missing? What's causing this? Because you know what? Life is actually really pretty good when you stop and look at it. So have a good one, and I will in fact see you tomorrow.